Respected judges and my fellow audience, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This year, for the Abdus Science Fair, I have created my presentation on space debris. Now, what is space debris? Space debris is any piece of machinery or debris left by humans in space. And it can refer to big objects such as dead satellites that have failed or been left in the orbit by the end of their mission. It can also refer to smaller things like bits of debris or paint flecks that have fallen off a rocket. Now, this is what space debris look like, and this is how our Earth looks like with space debris surrounded. Now, why is space debris a problem? Space junk can impact other objects at over 22,300 miles per hour, which is way faster than a speeding bullet. Collisions with those tiny pieces often leave pits and dings in many satellites, telescopes, and other objects orbiting our planet. Space junk is also dangerous for our future projects planned where any astronauts or spacecrafts are going into space. With the speed of 22,300 miles per hour, space debris is most likely to collide with anything, resulting in tons of damage, only contributing to the space debris we currently have. Now, how much space debris is there? Well, currently there are 2,000 active satellites orbiting Earth, and there are 3,000 dead satellites which are littering in space. And there are 34 million pieces of space junks that is bigger than 10 centimeters. Now, how does space debris get into space? Well, space debris gets into space is when we send our satellites and our rockets into space, or our flybys, and by the end of their mission, they're left out in space. Okay, and what happens with that is sometimes they break down or they crash into other dead satellites or actually active ones, which collide and they break into smaller pieces. Okay, and that's how it gets into space. And well, why would it be a problem in the future? I mean, it could well be because several companies are planning vast new groups of satellites called mega constellations. And well, it will beam internet down to Earth. These companies will include SpaceX and Amazon plan to launch thousands of satellites to achieve global satellite internet coverage. If successful, this could mean an additional 50,000 satellites in orbit. And this means a lot more collision avoidance maneuvers will be done. In September 2019, the European Space Agency performed its first satellite maneuver to avoid colliding with a mega constellation. Now, what is the Kessler syndrome? In 1978, a NASA scientist named Donald Kessler had a theory that if there was way too much space junk in space, what would happen is all of them would collide, causing a chain reaction, and more pieces would come to the point where the Earth's orbit would not be usable. How to clean up all of our space debris? Currently, the United Nations have come up with a plan to send a flyby into space and aim it directly to all the big pieces, like all the dead satellites currently there. You take a big net, shoot it as a projectile through a flyby, and capture all of it. And now when it's captured, it's going to come into the Earth's atmosphere, and while it's coming down, it's going to burn up. As for the smaller pieces, we really don't have a solution yet. So the best theory they've come up with is that it will eventually naturally re-enter the atmosphere and will burn by itself. Now, how can we protect astronauts from this in the future? Well, astronauts, when they go on spacewalks, they wear special suits. The suit includes a layer of strong, thin material that protects them from items so they can walk throughout their mission. Now, as I'm going to show you, this is my model I have created. Alright, so I have created what Earth really looks like with space junks all around it. Now, if they were planning to send a rocket into space, it would be really hard because we have to put it in such an angle where it would touch none of it. And there's so much around, and like some of them are dead satellites, some of them are active, and it's a really important mission. NASA has currently come up with many ways to discover stuff in space, but they really can't because they still haven't found an angle around this problem yet. So, Jazakallah, thank you for listening to my presentation. My name is Rayaan Ahmad, and for Peaceful Center Rest.